Good morning and good afternoon to everyone out there, and welcome to episode 74 of the Leading IT podcast. Today, our topic is selecting and implementing the right data platform for AI, and we're going to be joined by Empyrean's data lead, Siva Shivaganken. And for those who are new, welcome to our podcast. It's for Australian IT leaders who need to cut through the noise on AI, cybersecurity, data, cloud, infrastructure, strategy, and leadership. I'm your host, Josh Rubin, CEO at Empyrean IT, and I'm joined by CIO Tom Layden, and we tackle the fast-moving IT landscape from both sides of the fence, client and vendor, with pragmatic advice you can actually use. G'day, Tom. G'day, Siva. How you going?
G'day, Josh. I'm good. Looking forward to this.
Yeah, very relevant topic on everyone's mind. G'day, Siva. Welcome for the first time.
Thank you. Thank you. Hi, Josh. Hi, Tom. Thank you for having me.
All right. So, do you want to maybe, Siva, give a quick intro to the audience about who you are and your background and expertise in the data space?
Sure. So I've been working in this data space for about 16, 17 years now. That number keeps going up. And have been, worked across I think I've done it all on the data side. So technical, non-technical, worked across lots of businesses, the big end of town, like the NABs, Telstras, NBN, and then also medium-sized business as well. So yeah, I've got a good understanding of what companies of all sizes want, and also lately been working with that data with AI, supporting how AI can be supported by data.
Very relevant skill set, I'd suggest.
Yeah, that's probably why I'm here.
And now data lead and practice lead at Empyrean. So we're privileged to have you, Siva, and doing a fantastic job for our clients. All right, well, we'll kick off with a bit of news as usual, Tom. Do you want to start us off?
I do. I don't want to steal your thunder because I can guarantee what it'll be. But I do want to talk about OpenAI. They had their big development day a couple of days ago, and big announcements particularly around how they're integrating apps directly into ChatGPT. It's a pretty straightforward implementation process, actually, but basically it means you can talk directly to apps. The big example was Canva, so you can say, hey, Canva, can you do a poster for me? And it does a poster, blah, blah, blah. But it's much bigger than Canva, right? It means if you're talking directly into your apps from ChatGPT, it almost cuts out the whole middleware layer, right? So all of a sudden, AI is the operating system, and that is, I don't know, is it the beginning of the end, Josh, for Microsoft or a whole bunch of different things? If people are just interfacing directly into OpenAI, what were your thoughts? Did you see that?
I did see it and hear about it. My first thoughts are governance, data, security,
huge,
and all the things that Microsoft provide that enterprises need.
Absolutely.
But if you're a consumer, not in an enterprise, then that sounds really good. So I think that's the delineation there in our view.
Consumers ahead of enterprise by a couple of years, so you can see where it's going. I mean, all this stuff the performance is terrible. It'd be expensive to run it all. It's not there yet by any means. It's years away. But I mean, we had a glimpse into what that future might look like, and it was, the potential is interesting.
Yeah, no, definitely. So my first bit of news, I don't know if you picked this one, is a New South Wales government contractor uploaded an Excel spreadsheet of flood victims' data into ChatGPT. So 12,000 rows of information were uploaded with 3,000 people's data. It was under the Northern Rivers Resilient Homes Program, and a contractor uploaded it, and all that PII data went out. So it was actually made the news this week. Did you guys see this?
Yep. A lot of experts were talking about it. And a lot of people going, well, that's just really bad. It's terrible. I should never let that happen. But then a few people said, look, it's pretty bad, but maybe the risk is a bit overstated as well. So it's interesting. It's very hard to articulate the specific risk. Needless to say, you don't want to be the company who does that, right? You don't want to be telling your customers you've stuffed up.
Well, and it's also very topical. I mean, our previous episode, We talked about protecting shadow IT. So if customers had implemented Defender for Cloud Apps with Microsoft Purview, that contractor would not have been able to upload that spreadsheet with PII data into ChatGPT. So I thought quite relevant following the last podcast. So if people missed that, you can listen to that.
Yep.
So but I thought that was Exhibit A.
Exhibit A, exactly.
That was Exhibit
How
A
do you know?
on why you
The
need
only
it.
reason they found out was because he came forward, or someone, like a human, put their hand up and said, "Hang on, I've just done something wrong." Is that correct?
I'm not sure about how they
How did they
found it,
find
but
out about it? Was a bit of, did they
oh yeah,
sign
it
up
was
and
disclosed. It was
disclosed?
disclosed. Yeah,
So
it was
how many
disclosed.
times did this happen where no one knows about it? Right.
Yeah,
To your point, it's like,
yeah,
hang on, that is pretty scary, particularly if they're using,
yes,
say, the Chinese version as well. It's like,
yeah,
anyway,
into DeepSeek. Yeah. All right, Tom, back to you. You know what my
mate.
next piece is going to be, but
Deloitte,
you
are you going to talk about Deloitte?
oh no.
Can we talk about Deloitte
I
using
know that
AI
wasn't
for
my, but I was gleeful. I was gleefully saw that bit of news. Definitely.
Deloitte? Not only did they use AI, of course they used AI for a report, $400,000 plus report they were commissioned to do, and guess what? Full of errors, misquotes, misinformation. And they admitted that they were using AI to produce the report. They've had to pay a whole bunch of money back to the customer, being the government. But man,
They gave them a
reputation
credit, Tom.
damage.
They gave them a credit. Not even
Oh
the full
no,
amount.
they
They
didn't even
gave them
pay
a
them.
credit. No, they gave them a credit. Would
Plastic.
you believe 440 grand? And I love just seeing all the Deloitte, my ex colleagues, posting around, AI leadership and governance at Deloitte. I thought it was quite. I did
Oh,
forward.
look,
I did forward. Forward it on a few
I'm
times,
sure you did.
just quietly.
Look, and there
Yeah.
are some great people who work for Deloitte. Don't get me wrong. There's some really good people, and they must have just been banging their head against the wall when this came out, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Funny.
So, what's your next news piece, Josh?
Yeah, and it's 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 coming, and it's created the a big thing. Like, not all the big four now have to, when they're doing work for government, they have to disclose now when they're using when they're using AI to do work. All right, so there was very big Microsoft Copilot news this week. Huge news. I don't know if anyone saw this. So, and it's a little bit of I think acceptance from Microsoft that they're not in the lead here, because what they've done is and the Microsoft licensing is frigging confusing. We all know that, but they have a product called Copilot Chat, which is free for every M365 customer, which was a corporate version of ChatGPT. So essentially, it did everything ChatGPT does, but whatever you put into the prompt didn't go out to the public web. And then you had the M365 Copilot, which was the $560 a year, which had all the features that integrated into M365 apps. But now, this week, Microsoft announced that Copilot Chat, the free version, is now integrated into Word, Excel, PowerPoint, Outlook, and OneNote. So in the free version, for both the web and desktop apps, you can now use the Copilot on your Office apps, and you can actually bring in other files and information that you're working on. And this was a capability you needed to have the paid version for previously. So this is now out. So you can now work on an Excel document. You can ask it to do, make pivot tables and do stuff for you, or you can work on an Outlook, out of Outlook or Excel or whatever it is, and you can seamlessly move between apps. So you can create in one, move to the other, and create, for example, a PowerPoint presentation out of something you've gotten out of Word. So that's all moved into the free version of Copilot Chat. So my thinking was, I know Google with Gemini have given that for free to all the Google customers. So you feel, maybe is this response from Microsoft to say, well, if you're giving that for free, we're going to give all this capability for free that you have to pay for before, guys. What do you, Siva, Tom?
Yeah,
What do you guys think?
yeah. I think they're trying to own the AI space in the office environment. They're trying to make it harder for people to go outside of office. They don't want people to go into ChatGPT or Claude or whatever. So they're trying to own that space. But I mean, I know, and I'm sure you get this feedback as well. People want to use other systems as well. Do you hear that a lot? Like people go, oh, we don't like ChatGPT. We don't like Microsoft Studio. We like whatever it is they're using. So there's still a long way to go. But I can see why they're giving it away because there's a lot of competition out there, right?
Yeah, I agree. I think, yeah, they definitely have to, if they are not on the people's desktop, then people are, like you said, Tom, so they're going to go out and use something else. And even Copilot being on the desktop, it takes time for people to change behaviors and start using something when they're used to using ChatGPT or Claude or whatever it might be. They're going
Yeah,
to keep going back. So they're probably already a bit late, but
yeah,
they have to be there.
yeah. They have now. I think Claude is now available through, and the Anthropic models are now available through Copilot. So M365 Copilot, certainly you can select your model. But I thought that was sort of big, particularly for people who are trying to understand what the licensing was about. So it begs the question: so why would you pay the $600 for M365 Copilot? So what they've done is they've moved. So things now in the paid version, you can get enterprise search across all your work data is now built into M365 Copilot. All the Teams meeting facilitation, summarization is in the paid version, and they've got 8 agents. So there's the researcher and analyst agent, and then there's some new new agents they've announced. So they've announced a knowledge agent in SharePoint, so which can essentially organize your SharePoint environment for you. So you can go in and can tag with metadata, do metadata tagging, which Siva would sort of get you excited. You can retire inactive pages, you can fix broken links, and you can just talk to it through natural language and really, clean up SharePoint. There's a Teams channel agent, again, on all your data in Teams. There's a meeting facilitator agent. So there's a whole bunch of agents they're putting into the paid version. But I wonder whether, that still is attractive, whether people would pay $600 a year a license for that if, all they really wanted was, Copilot in their office apps.
Yeah, maybe. I think the dream is to get all your knowledge under control in one area. I get it, but man, you've got to really have you've got to have it organized, right? You've got to be on top of this world. Most people
Yeah.
aren't, right? Most people have just got crap everywhere, and they're not ready for this. So I can see why they'd balk at the cost of it.
Yeah, and on a separate thing, they've released security Copilot agents. So there's a bunch of embedded agents in Intune, in Defender, in Sentinel. There's a new security agent store. So a lot of the major security vendors have put their security agent in the Microsoft security agent store. So which
Yeah,
is
that's
pretty
good.
interesting. So a lot of the main
That's
security
really good.
vendors. So that was pretty
Yeah,
cool. Yeah.
yeah.
So
If
that's
it helps to address configuration gaps, I think that's what all these things do. They identify where your configuration problems are. So I think that could be really useful.
Yeah, it does stuff like alert triage, right? So we'll look at all the noise, the white noise that's coming through, and it'll tell you what you need to look at. So it's really digging through logs and looking at stuff for you. So I had a look at some videos. So that's really new. But yeah, that was the other bit. So any other news, Tom, before we get into the chat with Siva?
No, let's get into it, man. It's time to talk about data, right?
Yeah, let's go. Data lakes. Boom. All right. So, Siva, thanks for, waiting so patiently and nicely there. So let's sort of set the scene. So for customers who might be new to the space, so talk about what, in a simple terms, what's a data lake and how does it differ from data warehouse or a traditional database?
Cool. So I get the data lake would be it's a giant storage of all your data in one place. So if you could probably think of it like a maybe something like a garage, a messy garage. So where you dumped a lot of stuff in there, that's your data lake. You got the cars, the bicycles, and all of that in there. And the database, a database, it's generally designed for it's structured, it's designed for transactions. So that's what the banks would use when we go to the ATM, withdraw money, so that hits the database. Whereas a data warehouse on the other side is again it's structured for heavy processing of queries. So it's clean data that's for people to run queries against. So we look at it like this. So we got the messy garage, which is the lake. Then if you're looking at the warehouse, which is like the shelves and everything's organized and labeled on the shelf, so that the users of the organization can just go in and pick the right product that they want.
Okay, well, you're not selling the data, the lake house there to us, so a messy garage, that doesn't sound good. So maybe talk about why does a company, why would an organization need it? What's it going to give you?
Yeah, so the messy garage is when data lake is not implemented correctly. So it could still be a garage with a lot of stuff in it, but it still can be organized, I suppose. So a data lake, why does an organization needs a data lake is because we have been in the past what we've been dealing with a lot of structured data, all the reporting they came out of structured data. It is coming out of your banking system or finance system. It's all structured data that's coming out. Whereas the data lake is set up to support structured and non-structured data as well.
So what's the value in having all these unstructured data in your data lake? Isn't it just like noise and mess and it's expensive and there's no value from it? What do you do with this stuff, right?
Yeah, so with unstructured data, there's still information in there. So things like if you have images or if you have documents where you want to extract data from, there's PDF files which will have some rows of tables containing the PDF files. So from which you would like to extract those information out and then use them in your reporting. That's not something that you can do with a data warehouse, so because you can't load a PDF file into a warehouse. Whereas you can bring that into a lake house, and from the lake house, using the cloud technologies now, AI as well, you can extract that information from this unstructured data and then put them in a structured manner in a warehouse, which is ready for reporting.
Yeah, so I mean, so if I want to, let's talk about typical organization, right? They're going to have some core business applications. So they might have a finance system, they'll have a CRM, they might have a SQL database, they'll have an HRIS, they might have an ERP, they'll have a bunch of 30 different SaaS applications and some Excel based applications and a whole bunch of all these sort of data silos, right? So there'll be data silos everywhere. So and then they have all their unstructured data will be sitting in, on a file server somewhere, and they might have some stuff in SharePoint and maybe some stuff in Teams, and so that we've got all these data islands, and that some businesses may be doing some some analytics, some BI directly on their finance system for a bit of reporting, but essentially they're missing out on the real value of their data being orchestrated from different applications, from the ability to sort of orchestrate your data into a central place where they can really start to get value out of bringing their data together from all these sort of disparate silos and different applications. I don't know if I'm saying it right there, Siva, but that's sort of a bit of the problem, right? And then it gets very difficult to start actually doing things and making decisions out of that. Is that what's your thoughts on that, Siva?
Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right. Yeah, that's right. So because when you have those data residing in so many different systems, they have to be in one place to be able to make sense out of it, get a source of truth of your data. So that's when the data lake and the data warehouse concepts come in. So where you get the data into the lake, into the warehouse, then you can do reporting on top of that. Which is across the org instead of being just the HR or finance or whatever it might be.
Yeah, so So this single source of truth concept. So we hear about it all the time. So what does it mean? Maybe talk about the medallion architecture and how, at some point, maybe as a secondary point, how that sort of we cleanse the data and how we make it useful, and then why it's so important for AI and analytics initiatives.
Okay, yeah, sure. So I'll start with that's a loaded question there. So I'll start with the single source of truth first. So that is like having one source of truth that's reliable data that's available to everyone in the organization. No, so it's one data point. So it's not different parts of the business are not producing reports using Excel and producing a different number, whereas it'll be just one source of truth. Everybody gets the same number. That's what the single source of truth. So the data has come through, processed, cleaned, available for everyone in one place. In regards to your other 2 points about the medallion architecture and AI, so with the data lake, which is the industry standard, that's medallion architecture is the architecture of how you would build data lakes. So that's an industry standard now. So the data goes through these 3 layers. It goes through a bronze layer, which is the raw form, which is the structured, unstructured. It comes through into that bronze. Then it comes across into a silver layer, which is now cleaned and masking applied, security, validation done, data quality validation done, all of that stuff. And then it comes into the silver. And then you got the gold layer, which is almost like your data warehouse where you do your reporting from.
Yeah, and then what with AI? So obviously we said, clean quality data is the fuel of AI, right? So if you can, have you got an example to mind? You don't have to name the customer. Have you got an example that you could sort of bring to mind? You don't have to name who the customer is. That I know we've got a customer who's got sort of 4 or 5 different applications where they're entering customer information into all 5 of them, and they want to get to a single, so they're having 5 different versions of customer information, wanting to get into that single version for their CRM. Maybe give us a couple of examples, Siva, if you don't mind.
Yeah, sure. So speaking of customers, so there's one of the organizations we've done work for. They're a private bank. So what they had was they have, because being a bank, they have accounts. So a customer might have 5 accounts. So the view they had was at account level. So you would know, if I had 5 accounts, it would look like 5 Sivas. But they did not know that there's a Siva with 5 accounts. So that's a problem. And then the data is across multiple different systems as well, to put those 5 accounts into one as against that one Siva. What we've been able to do was bring the data from like 7 different systems, apply some logic. We've been able to create that single customer view, so that then now you'll be able to see there's Siva with 5 accounts. And what we have also been able to do on top of that was also being able to create a household view. So now you can also see that Siva's wife, she's got 2 accounts, Siva's got 3 accounts, there's 5 accounts as household hosts. So now they can actually find the customers, the most important customers, against the advisors. They can see that, okay, they might have 15 customers, but you can see that these are the top 5 customers who are really adding to the revenue. So you can really get into that level of detail.
Can I ask, Siva? So I think we've had data lakes around for a while now, and people have really, like, I've seen some really good examples, and I've seen some really bad, examples as well. What are some of the traps you see people falling into with this stuff? Like, where do you see it going wrong? And don't name names, please, unless you want to.
Yeah, no names. So I think there's 2 things. One, the very first one is probably, maybe I'll answer it slightly differently in that question. It's because what's happened is, now with the cloud technologies, it's become very easy for anyone to spin up a data platform. You can go on, put a credit card, and practically you can do that if you wanted to, and then spin up a data platform and then start bringing data in. So there hasn't been, so that just meant that you don't have to put in the thought process beforehand to have that planning, the foundations in place, the right securities in place. So none of that's initially defined. So that's the problem. So it becomes a mess. So that's the messy garage. Um, the other thing is not having the business buy-in, because there's a lot of times the projects are started by the technology team because they think it's a good idea. It probably is a good idea, but there's no buy-in from the business. So it's always good with something like this, especially very focused on the business. You start on the business end and see what's their pain points and then work backwards rather than starting on the technology and then go and say, hey, we got this shiny product.
Yeah, that
So,
makes sense.
so Siva, I mean, if you're going up for money, so if our customers are going up for money to justify this investment, so what's the, what's the story from an ROI point of view? Have you got any view there? Is it, yeah, maybe talk a little bit about, justifying it to a non-technical person.
Okay, so if you are going for money, so you are looking at, the business case is there's a definite cost savings straight away with going in a cloud-based lakehouse, because these are scalable platforms. The storage is very cheap now, so you can move the data. So straight away there's that cost savings there, and then there's also another cost saving, which is that all that time spent by usually the accountants spending all that time putting all these Excel reports together, whereas they can use that time to actually analyze that information rather than just doing that Excel reports and all those macros and all of that stuff. So that's there's a time saving versus that technology cost saving. So they both come down to, like, there's a lot of cost savings there. And the second layer is what what this is going to give the organization is a platform, of future-proof platform, which is make the organization AI ready. Because AI to work, you need clean data. Otherwise, it's not going to work to start with. So you have make that organization AI ready, and then you also have those better informed. You can make better informed decisions from a central single source of truth.
Yeah, I mean, I've spoken to so many customers where the finance team spends a week doing end of month, providing a spreadsheet to the business, which, every day after that is out of date. Whereas if you have this in place, it's live data. You're seeing, you can make, it's combining your data from your different applications into a single view, and then you can really start making. So it's almost like, what could you do? How do you get away with not having it, sort of thing, rather than justifying it, I suppose, in a way. The concept. Have you heard of this customer 360 use case? Are you familiar with that, Siva? That seems to be this customer 360 view. Do you want to maybe talk about what it means and why it's so valuable?
Yeah, so customer 360 view is it's just knowing everything about a customer. So it's so the organizations, they have customers, so just knowing them, everything about them, what are their purchases, what sort of support tickets they've raised probably, and it could even be things around the social media posts and anything, but mainly around everything about the customer. So you get this full picture of the customers, then you can, using that, you can actually do a lot of other stuff. Personalized marketing. Google's really good at it. So that's why, when you go search for something, they know so much about us, and then they push the right marketing messages. Um, uh, and you also get a lot of the marketing team loves it as well, because then they can see that they can group the customers into these different buckets as to, okay, different types of customers, and then they can have that mass marketing but still focused in that area.
Right. So what you're saying is you're getting data from, their web the web interaction, you're getting data from the CRM, you're getting it out of support, you might be getting it from shipping apps. So you're picking it up from all these different applications to give you that 360 view of the customer, and then that's information you can use to better serve and potentially get more revenue from a business point of view. Tom, you look like you had some questions. Do you want to
Yeah, I
apologies
do.
there?
Yeah, I mean, it's it is modern business, isn't it? Getting on top of your data like this, it's really, really big. What I'm seeing, a few problems around Siva is that marketing will have their own data lake, and finance will be having their own data lake, and they don't talk. Have you had those situations where you try to get common ground? What does an IT leader do in those situations where you've got two business units who have gone their own way? How do you kind of sew them together and get them to unify?
I have seen that. So because I worked at these bigger orgs, there's generally those different business units. They go out and they do their own thing because at the end of the day, I think that's main reason why people do that is because not because they don't want to talk to each other. It's just because they want to have more control in the reportings that they are looking to get. So I think the the main thing to do is to bring them together and understand what is that they exactly want, what sort of control they're wanting, and then provide that within a unified data lake. So if that's available, I don't think people will build their own one. And the other is also that resourcing and the timeline. Sometimes you need speed. Um, so the finance team probably needs a change, and the marketing team needs a change, and then the IT will prioritize them against each other. But
Yeah.
yeah, so that means they want to have their own different.
And
Um,
are you seeing people drive AI from these things? Like, can you share some examples where you're actually going, well, you've got your data in shape and you're now getting these benefits from AI? Are you seeing any of those examples?
yeah. So not using AI. I haven't seen anywhere they're using AI to do predictions, but there's a few things that people are trying to do now that we've had all the data is in one place now. What they want to get to is a stage where the business doesn't have to come and ask the technology to create this new report because there's a small change. We want this another report, which is we used to have year on year. Now we want to have month on month. So rather, the business can ask in natural language, they can ask a question in Teams. The question goes out, and then the AI will understand the question, get the data, and then present that back in Teams.
Yeah, fantastic.
So without having that reporting
Yeah. So people can
layer.
start
Yeah,
creating their own queries into the data. It's really useful. I've seen a few examples where people have got their data sets under control. No one's ever done this perfectly, by the way. It's always a work in progress, is what I'm saying. But when they get the data under control, they start to work on machine learning, right? And then they start to actually create really good use cases where machine learning is actually helping the business in whatever particular use case they're doing. It's really good in data validation too. There's another use case I've seen where they've used machine learning to identify all the crappy data they've got and start to really clean it up, and then that improves their marketing outcomes. Another example.
yes, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you can use machine learning to improve the data quality. Yeah, review that data across the systems, and then yeah, definitely that's a very good use case
All right,
for
now
AI.
let's get to the my favorite bit, the bake off. All right, so we've got the three big players. We've got Microsoft with Fabric, Snowflake, and Databricks seem to be the sort of big three. Do you want to maybe we're not going to do an in-depth comparison, but maybe do you want to sort of talk a little bit about each and what your thoughts are, and maybe where you think one might suit the other, or any opinions you might have on that, Siva?
Yeah. Okay. So with that, all three of them. So if you are looking at Fabric, Snowflake, and Databricks, there are some areas they excel, some they don't, but they're usually on par with each other. So it comes down to what fits your setup more than which platform. So if you're a Microsoft shop, it makes a good it makes sense to go with Fabric. Whereas, if you're not a Microsoft shop, then you might look at Databricks or Snowflake. But the main difference is Fabric is newer compared to the other two, the Databricks and Snowflake, so it's still evolving. Databricks is a lot more mature platform, and then it supports a lot of ML, AI kind of use cases, which is coming into Fabric now. Snowflake, it also provides some sort of AI, some level of AI use cases, but it's also what it does is it also splits the compute and the storage. So that's another benefit of running Snowflake. But
What do
end
you
of the
mean?
day,
What do you mean? What do you mean by that? What's the? Sorry, excuse my ignorance. I understand what you're saying, but how does that? Why is that good?
yeah. So now you're not running. You don't have your compute and the storage on the same computers. So as in on the same platform. So you can keep them separately. So you can cost optimize them, better optimize those different environments for different purposes like the compute versus the storage. And and all three of them are very. I mean, the underlying technology though across all three, they're practically the same.
So Snowflake, the difference between Fabric, Snowflake, and Databricks. So Snowflake also, from what I understand, can do a combo of on-prem and public cloud, right? So if customers are a hybrid cloud and they want to do something on-prem, is that where you see Snowflake working?
Yeah. Snowflake, you can run it, on-prem as well. But the biggest thing that Snowflake always sells is around the separation of the compute and the storage, so that then that gives you can scale them independently, both things, the compute or the storage. But I think going back to Tom's question around what are the things to look for when you choose one of these platforms, I think I'll start with the basics really. I would probably look at the type of org, what what sort of shop you are, what do you have majority of the technology, and the others also look at internal staff capability as well. Look at what people have within your team. Are they Python, PySpark developers, or they SQL developers? So you just look at that and then align with that. So that's probably would give you better benefit rather than looking at these finer
Yep.
details around the technology, because all
Yeah,
three
okay.
platforms are quickly catching up.
Yeah, that's a
Yeah.
really good
So I
point
think so. What
about
you're saying
skill sets.
is the Python stuff is more Databricks, and then and SQL around Snowflake, and then Microsoft sort of more for better service business users, right? Who are more sort of is that what is that what you're sort of thinking or seeing there?
Yeah, so there's the PySpark that's used across, that's Microsoft Fabric and also Databricks. They both use that. There's Snowflake's mainly everything's run through DBT, but DBT, that's what's used. And then there's SQL. You can run SQL natively. All three platforms support SQL as well.
Yeah.
So that's supported too. But it comes down to the engineers, what they're familiar with, what platforms they may have experience with. So it's probably go towards that rather than just choose a platform because.
Yeah, I mean, so if you're a mid-sized company and you haven't got a data lake first, and you're, like most mid-sized organisations, you're a Microsoft shop, and you're getting into it, would you suggest? Sounds like you may be suggesting Fabric.
I would say Fabric, yeah, hands down, Fabric. Yes. Why introduce a new
Yeah, that's a
platform,
good
new
point.
technologies?
There is a
Yeah.
very
So,
strong security element, isn't there, as well, with the Fabric piece that you can't ignore. I know a lot of people, you get sucked into, you'll have a lot of people on your team who want to go down what they used at university, for example, and it won't be a Microsoft product. Typically, it'll be Databricks or Snowflake. But I think the trap with that stuff is it's all good. It seems really easy to get into. But then when you start to look at security specifically, I think there is a big concern, particularly, I mean, as a senior person in IT, you've got to put those hats on to say, hey, guys, I know you can do things quickly in these things, but we need to think bigger than just quick turnaround. I think that's where Fabric is actually quite good, Josh. I know you like me saying that, but there is something you need to consider that.
No. So, I mean, it does have purview integration for sure. So, I mean, Siva has skills across all of them. So, if customers want to use, if we find a customer that we think Snowflake is the right solution for them, or Databricks based on the criteria that Siva was saying, we'll recommend that, right? It doesn't have to be all Microsoft all the time. It's, I suppose, Siva, what you're saying is what's the right fit for the customer.
Yeah, horses for courses, for sure.
Yeah. It's the right fit for the organization more than the technology. Yeah. So, and end of the day, if the business uses, so these things, where I see this data is an enabler of the business. For the business, it doesn't matter whether it's Databricks or Snowflake or Fabric, as long as they get their reports. And yeah.
And I think the other point
so we're getting at
is,
sorry, Tom, go on.
No, I'm just going to say the one other point I'd add is, like, how do you get the results to the user fastest? Do you know what I mean? Like, how do you give the outcome of a data lake, which data lake in itself is kind of useless unless people are actually using it? How do you get it to the people who need it in the way they want to consume that as well? And that is often Power BI, right? Is typically, I'm sure you see a lot of Power BI or Excel or Teams, and ultimately some sort of chat style interface.
Yeah, and then the AI stuff on top. So it's really get this foundation, and then you can start. So if you're an IT leader who knows they need a data lake, doesn't know where to start. So what's the sort of first 2 or 3 things you think they should do besides obviously call us to get them to help?
I'd suggest you understand the use cases. Have you 5 or 6 use cases for this thing, right? So you've got that lined up, and then bring in the experts. But if you get the experts to come in first, sometimes the business case isn't as clear. It's my only suggestion.
That's a good point.
There needs to be a problem you're solving.
Well, the problem is we want to do AI, and how are we going to do it? So the solution is we need to get this. We need to get a platform in place. Well, seriously, I mean, people are doing it without it.
That's right.
And that's scary. And they're doing it without the security and without the
That's right.
Data centralization. Yeah.
But it'd be good to have. We want to do AI to do whatever business outcome. That would be good to have that statement written down or some part of the conversation, right?
Yeah. For sure. In order to do something. All right, that's fantastic. I think, Siva, I think we've covered heaps today. And Tom, did you have any other sort of final comments?
No, like everyone's grappling with this one. I think just that point about no one's ever done with this data stuff. It's an ongoing exercise. Like, no one's ever finished. You never finish with it. You're always building it. So don't beat yourself up too much if you feel like your data lake or warehouse is not there. I've never met anyone who says it's done. Just never seen that. So continue that work. But you do need support and expertise. I definitely back you guys up on that one. You can't do this alone.
No. Siva, thank you so much. If people, they can find you on LinkedIn, probably is the best. If they don't want to call me, they can find. So Siva is SIVA and Shivaganken is SHIVAGANKEN. Did I get that right, Siva? Yeah. So on LinkedIn, or obviously through us, he's Empyrean data lead. And obviously we'd be, happy to have just a chat, obligation-free discussion around your options and, where we think we might be able to help you out. But thanks, Tom, as always, and thanks again to our listeners, everyone out there listening to our episode 74. And good luck with your AI and data initiatives, and look forward to chatting to you soon. Thanks, everyone. See you guys.
Thanks, Josh.